Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, welcome back to this wonderful session called Gita Made Easy. And we are discussing mind control and regulated lifestyle. In the previous section, this is the part 2 of the session called Mind Control and Regulated Lifestyle. We speak about this topic in 2 sessions. In the first session, we covered some aspects, and today we are going to cover some important aspects. Like we do in all the other sessions, we begin with glorifying the holy name of the Lord by chanting and by some kirtan. So, even before I begin anything, if my voice is clearly audible, and if you can see me properly, can you please raise your hands to confirm? Okay, let's begin. And today, since all of you are regularly joining, I would be very happy if at a specified time, when we are towards the end of the discussion, if all of you prepare yourself in such a way so that you can turn on your audio for some time, so that I as a teacher could see all of you, and you also. It's very important for us to have that kind of personal connection. Earlier, when this lockdown was not there, this Zoom concept was not there, people were actually coming to the temples and attending these sessions. So don't switch on your videos now, because now I'm not seeing it. But yes, when I will give a signal, please turn it on. So please prepare yourself, be in a situation so that be ready to turn on your videos whenever told. So we'll begin with I will just adjust my share screen. Give me a minute. Okay, so hope you're able to see my screen now. So we'll start with the pranam mantras. Close it tightly. Close it tightly. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadini Vashachalekasarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadini Vashachalekasarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarangana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन युग की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Before I even begin this session, I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my spiritual grandfather. And I will offer this session, or I will try to conduct this session simply for the pleasure of Shri Krishna and my spiritual masters. And all the contentment, happiness, this self-discovery and spiritual discipline and spiritual cultivation which will result as a part of this session, all the credit goes to Prabhupada and Krishna. And I will request try to invoke their blessings by chanting the pranam mantras. Those who know these pranam mantras, they can repeat with me, and those who don't, they can try to hear it clearly so that they can also try to practice and learn it and avail the blessings of the Acharyas and Krishna in their lives. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Svavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagarjadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarane Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhayate Giram Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Swaram Harihi Om. Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So let's quickly, in the next 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes, quickly recapitulate what we studied in the previous session. We saw mind control, regulated lifestyle. We saw that the mind is the most powerful material element amongst all the material elements. So one thing which we realized in the previous session is that mind is a material thing. We are not this mind, and mind is not something very spiritual. So aiming for the peace of mind is not a spiritual topic. It mind control and regulated lifestyle, they are the windows to spiritual life, or they are the launch pad from where spiritual life starts. So the pseudo spiritual organizations who call themselves spiritual, just trying to teach some meditation and some kind of activities which will peace the mind and please the mind, they are not actually giving you spirituality. And then we saw what is the difference between intelligence and mind. Then we discussed some slokas, how controlling of mind is an urgency. And we saw this problem of the mall, how people are trained to become dissatisfied, unhappy in every situation so that they can consume more. We appreciated that this is just 180-degree of the Vedic culture, where people are living in the mind on a platform, where people are living on the platform of contentment. We understood that just by getting exposed to various things, dhyato vishyapumsat sangasteshu upajayate, sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate. We saw that just by being exposed to things, one develops the desire to have them. So, we saw that the nature of the mind is turbulent, obstinate, very strong to subdue. And then what does it want? It wants happiness, but it doesn't know what are the definitions of happiness. The mind's idea of happiness is basically exploitation, accumulation, supply the needs of the senses, and association with the opposite gender. However, Krishna says that these are wrongly set goals, because ultimately they are not going to make you happy. We did a poll, and how many of us felt that we have heard, not heard, or had we heard from the right source, then our life wouldn't have been miserable. We would have been much happier. And many of you raised your hands to confirm, yes. Now, somebody else told us that money will make you happy. Somebody else told me that if you become XYZ, you will become happy. They didn't tell me that happiness is not something related to material circumstances. And then we saw how simply by coming in the senses, when they come in contact with the sense objects, they become the source of misery. The mind is the master. We saw a functional body of the document, where if you remember, we said that these 5 horses are the senses. The reins or the ropes connected to the horses, that is the mind. The person holding the ropes is the intelligence, and the person sitting in the chariot is the spirit soul. So only when the spirit soul or the intelligence listens to the spirit soul and the intelligence dictates it to the mind and the mind orders it to the senses, only then that is a natural existence. And in that kind of existence, we can serve Krishna. And we saw the practical dip was spiritual life begins with Shravanam. Read the Bhagavad Gita, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, follow regulated principles, etc. And engage your mind in Krishna and become devotees of Krishna and be peaceful. Today's agenda, we also gave a homework, by the way, to memorize the Bhagavad Gita Shloka 6.6. Okay, so the agenda for today. How does this mind function? Tips to control the mind. Sense control and its benefits. What if I try and if I fail? And finally, this announcement, that the time when I was making the presentation, I had some announcement. Today, I don't have any special announcement. Yeah, I do have special announcements, by the way. Somehow or the other, in every class, we have some special announcement. And apart from that, we will give you the practical tip of the day, which will make your life happy. Even before I begin, are you all excited to go further in this journey of Krishna consciousness, where you will learn how to control your mind, which is the worst enemy if untamed, and the best friend when properly controlled? And are you really excited to lead a regulated lifestyle and get the maximum out of your potential? And are you really excited to use your mind and intelligence and a regulated lifestyle in the service of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare? So if the answer to any of these three questions is yes, then can you please type ready in the chat box so that I get a confirmation that students are ready, devotees are ready? Can you please type ready in the chat box? Wow. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I have to do this so that I ensure that people are there in the session and they're not just falling asleep. Very nice. Okay, so let's begin today's discussion. Thank you for your inputs. I will again share my screen. How does the mind function? The answer is very simple. The mind functions on likes and dislikes. That is why there are some social media platforms which are capturing the mind, because they know that the mind works on likes and dislikes. They are not fools. They are very intelligent people. So they have designed an entire social media platform which is so addictive that people are just ending up liking things. And I don't know if there is a dislike button somewhere. But yeah, this like button is become very common these days. So the social media is very addictive. It triggers more sadness. These are some points maybe for your notebooks. The social media is very addictive. Point number 2, it triggers more sadness and less well-being. But the people keep thinking opposite. It will give me more happiness and better well-being. The reality is the clinical tests say that it promotes more sadness and more depression and lesser well-being. The social media, it helps or it triggers an urge to compare our life with the lives of others and publicly sharing it. Imagine if you are walking on the street and all of a sudden you catch an unknown man. This is a very different scope of thread of discussion. Suppose you're walking on the street and all of a sudden you catch hold of a man and you tell him, you know what, I had poha for breakfast today. And then you find another person and then you tell him, you know what, I'm going to have my lunch at 1 p.m. today. You find another person and tell him, oh, you know what, yesterday I purchased a new pair of shoes. Another person on the... So what will these people be thinking? These people will be thinking, is this person crazy? I don't want to know whether he's feeling happy wearing this green shirt or not. I don't want to know whether he's happy eating the breakfast at as poha and the lunch at 1 p.m. or not. I don't care. People will consider you mad if you walk on the street and behave like this and do these kind of things. But unfortunately, look at the scenario on the social media. People want to share such things, that I'm feeling happy wearing this green shirt, 50 likes. I had poha for breakfast today, feeling loved, 50 likes. You know? I am planning to have my lunch at 1 p.m. Who cares whether you have your lunch at all or not? But they'll post it and then they'll get some likes and dislikes. So this is going on. And this has to be avoided. This is madness. I repeat, this is madness. Imagine doing the same thing live on the road. People will hit you. People will tell you, we don't want to know You just focus on your business. People will tell you this. But the same thing in a very insane way we are doing on social media, and we are feeling very happy about it. So therefore, when I say that social media promotes only sadness and lesser well-being, it is not just an exaggeration. I just explained with an example. And earlier, people's minds were peaceful because they were not so much comparison oriented. But now, people will go to somebody's Facebook page or somebody's profile, do something or somebody's YouTube channel, and keep comparing how many likes they got, how many subscriptions they have, how many this, how many that. This leads to jealousy and a vicious cycle. Sorry, I just scrolled my page. Yeah, this leads to jealousy and a vicious cycle. And then because of that jealousy, everybody gets caught up in illusion. Please try to understand, making more friends on a social platform doesn't really mean that you're social. You may be socially cut off, you may be alienated, you may be a loner also. Just because one has more number of friends on Facebook doesn't mean, or YouTube or whatever, doesn't mean that you have actually those friends or followers. So the point which I'm trying to make is that the mind works on likes and dislikes. Mind is like a database which has stored the ideas, experiences, prominent, vivid experiences and desires in its database. And it just wants what it wants. It doesn't want to hear what is right for them or what is not right for them. So the mind works on likes and dislikes. Moving on. In the third chapter, shloka number 39, Krishna says, Avatram avritam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kama rupena kaunteya duspurena na lena cha duspurena na lena cha. That's how it's pronounced. So the translation says, thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Actually, Arjuna had asked before this verse that, "Oh Krishna, what is it? I do not want to do sinful activities, but what is that force within which forces me to be sinful, which forces me to fall in the cycle of birth and death, which forces me to basically become a Mayavadi or disassociate from you? What is that thing?" Krishna answers that the most important thing which makes people go crazy is the lust. And another example which Prabhupada is giving is that somebody, when somebody is very lusty, they are their own enemy, and they burn their life like fire. That is an understood fact. So the point which I'm trying to explain is that giving pleasure to the mind is like pouring fire on the fuel. We're not saying that don't give pleasure to the mind, but rather use the mind in the service of Krishna, and in that way receive natural pleasure, which will flood the heart with ecstasy of emotions. And then when you get that very love of God, by engaging your mind in the service of Krishna, then all of a sudden you will not hanker for anything which you don't have, neither will you lament for something which is lost from you. You'll come at the Brahma Bhuta platform. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. That is the verse. Samasarveshu bhuteshu samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labde param. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So as in another verse, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, A fire is covered by smoke. As the fire is covered by smoke, as the mirror is covered by dust, and as the embryo is covered by the womb. So there are varying degrees of covering over the fire. Sometimes the fire is covered by smoke. This is called as the least intensified covering. Similarly, after that, the mirror can be covered by the dust. So as long as this mirror is covered, you can't see your swarupa, you can't see your face. So you have to go and clean it up. And so similarly, the living entity is also like another example is baby covered in the womb. So these are different varying examples in which this living entity is covered by various degrees of lust. So Krishna is saying, Lord Krishna is saying, Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishthana uchyate etair vimohatya esha jnanam avritya dehinam. The senses, the mind and the intelligence are sitting places of the lust. Through them, the lust covers the real energy, real knowledge of the living being and bewilders him. So the first thing in fighting out an enemy is to find out where the enemy resides. Now Krishna is telling this lust is a gate to hell. Krishna says that there are three things which are taking a man gradually towards the hellish existence. What is that? Lust, anger, and greed. So Krishna says that all sane men, for that matter, even children and women, everybody should give up this lust, anger, and greed. Otherwise, no one can be happy. Mind works on likes and dislikes, and mind also works on sankalpa and vikalpa, or the bhoga tyaga tendency. What is the sankalpa and vikalpa? The sankalpa was taken that, okay, I will not eat anything which is made outside the temple. I will not take anything or eat anything which is not vegetarian, or something like that. Some sankalpa you took. But you could not but your sankalpa could not stand the test of time. Why? Because you are not determined enough to do it. As simple as that. So you took a vow, or somebody took a vow that they will not eat few items. But the very next day, one took a sankalpa on day one, and on the day two, when he got up from his bed, the mind told him enough. Now you are as good as Dhruv Maharaj or Prahlad, who meditated for so many years. Now you are as good as them. In just one day, you have become a pure devotee. Your heart is fully sanctified. There is no lust, greed, anger, illusion, enviousness, attachments, and false ego in your heart. Just break your renunciation and go on and eat whatever you want. So the mind also works based on likes and dislikes. And the mind also works on this bhoga tyaga mentality. So the solution, how to control the mind? We have to tell the mind strongly that you are not the master. But then that is not sufficient. We have to tell them more things also. Why should the mind listen to us? You are not the master. Actually, it is not just telling to the mind. We have to act in such a way so the mind understands that, yes, the soul is telling me that I'm not the master. What are those few things? Like getting up early in the morning. Getting up early in the morning is not an ordinary activity, by the way. Unfortunately, in the present age of Kali Yuga, around 90% people don't get up early in the morning. Common characteristics of all these 90% people: they're not healthy, first of all. Secondly, they will give a very, very bona fide excuse, a very, very perfect kind of an excuse, inevitable excuse, that this is the reason why I'm not able to get up early in the morning. So we have to follow that. simply by being awake in the Brahma Muhurta. 2 Muhurtas away from previous to sunrise is called Brahma Muhurta. 1 Muhurta can be compared to 50 minutes or 1 hour. So 2 Muhurtas means around 1.5 hour to 1 hour 45 minutes. So you're assuming if the sun rises at 6 in the present circumstances, then one should be awake from 4 a.m. or 4:30 at least. When somebody is lying in the bed and the rays of the sun have already come into the atmosphere, and there must be the rays of the sun must be there in the house also. So if at that point of time, while the sun is rising and the rays are being infiltrated all over the universe, if somebody is asleep, and simply by being asleep in the Brahma Muhurta, one gets so many diseases. These are scientifically proven facts. The body functions in different time. Our body is tuned to the rising and the setting of the sun. When the sun is on top of our head, somehow or the other we feel very hungry. Similarly, when the sun has set, ideally one should not eat much after that. If they're really hungry, they can just take some fruits and some milk. Otherwise, all grains should be eaten before sunset. Why? Because after sunset, the digestion system goes on a decline. So those who eat after sunset, they struggle. So these are some good positive engagements we can give to the mind. The best of them being is get up early and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So from today onwards, we have started a mantra meditation circle in which we invite devotees to join for half an hour only every day in the morning at 6 a.m. We chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra in that group. And then we are also reading the Bhagavad Gita. 1 verse, only 1 verse. We'll just read it. If there are any questions, the questions will be asked. Otherwise, in just 30 minutes, and even if there are some questions, they will be taken offline. This is just a 30-minute engagement. Just to inspire you to get up early, hit the bed early, live a better Krishna conscious spiritual life. Be healthy. So we have to tell the mind strongly, and the only way to tell the mind strongly is by acting strongly. We have to not listen to the exploitative tendency of the mind. We have to ideally aspire to make it the servant of Krishna, or rather the servant of the intelligence of our body. Then only will we actually symbolically be able to tell the mind that yes, you are not the master. Krishna is the master. Okay? Any questions, any doubts till now? Any questions, any doubts? Okay, I stopped my share screen. I'll just share it again. 1 second. Hope you're able to see my screen again. Okay. Some answers are coming in the chat box. I asked, hope there are any. If there are any questions or doubts, you can ask now. Somebody said no, so I understand that they have no questions. Somebody is saying yes. If you are saying yes, and if you mean that you have some questions and doubts, can you please type your question or raise your hand so that we can take it right now? Is it possible? No screen visible. You're not able to see my screen? No question. Okay. Okay, so now I see that all of you are a little bit stable in the session. We have discovered some things. We have discussed a little bit about the intricacies of the mind. Very soon we are going into the section where we will discuss how to control this mind. But before that, I would like to have the darshan of all of you. So I will request all of you to kindly turn on your videos as discussed, so that we can have a look at each other and we can know who we are. I will take a screenshot of the screen and I will post it, so that that is the proof that we are all attending the sessions very nicely. Can you all please turn on your videos? Requesting everybody to turn on your video, please. I had already requested everybody. Those who joined late, they may not know. I had already requested everybody that please be ready to turn on your videos during the session. Can everybody turn on the videos? We'll wait for another 30 seconds and then I'll take the screenshot. Everybody, please. Still only 50% people have turned on their videos. This is just an exercise where I'm trying to familiarize myself with all of you. Yes. Others, please. Just turn on your video and wait for 1 minute. I'm requesting everybody to turn on their videos. And then we'll take a screenshot. Please turn on your videos. Another 15 seconds to go. Please turn on your videos. Okay. Those who have turned on their videos, they will be captured. I will present this photo to Srila Prabhupada today after the session. Okay, I'm going to take the screenshot now. Very good. So I have successfully taken the screenshot. I'll just save it. And I will circulate it towards the end of the session. Thank you very much. If you can let your videos remain on from now towards the end of the session, that is also fine. However, I don't mind if you want to switch it off now. Okay, I'm really going to take this photo in my phone and I'm going to stand in front of Lord Krishna. I'm going to stand in front of Srila Prabhupada and I'm going to show them that these are the people. Kindly, I'm going to request Lord Krishna, cast your sidelong glance upon them and help them in their lives to become more dependable and surrendered devotees on the path of Krishna consciousness. I'm going to pray to the Acharya Srila Prabhupada that please assist them in their spiritual lives and help them to understand the purpose of human life and go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, let's continue our session. Here is our session. How to control the mind. There is a person who is called as Martin Luther King Jr. He made a very smart statement which caught my attention and I put it in the PPT. He said, our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles but misguided men. That's the situation. So mind control means regulation. Some things have to be done and some things have not to be done. Until we regulate our daily life, there's no question of controlling the mind. The problem in the present day training, where does the training happen these days? The training happens in the universities, schools, and colleges. Now, the training in these universities, schools, and colleges is a very, very odd kind of a training, I must say. The training which is being given is how to fill the belly. You can note it down. I call it as Udar Bharana Vidya. What do they teach? Udar Bharan Vidya. How to fill the belly. Whichever university you go, whichever school you go, whichever college you go, the aim of life is to how to fill the belly. There is no impetus ever given on the character. There is no impetus ever given on the sense control aspect. There is no university which talks about, which has a soul research department. Never anything is talked about the more important things of life, such as character, sense control. Now, there are some schools and colleges, universities which are claiming, oh, this has happened, that has happened. Students have scored these many marks, these many people above 90%, these many people got placed like this, these many people. You put all those people in a room and conduct one small examination. Ask the examiner or the invigilator to go out for 5 minutes and see their character. 99% of them will start cheating. Now, this is the characterless products which are coming out of our so-called training system and education system. So how can the society be happy? Please understand. Happiness will come when the society will change. If you keep the society as it is and you continue to only stress on filling the belly, apart from this belly, there is nothing else which is important in life. Everybody should take a photo of their stomach and put it in the altar and show agarbatti every day. That from the last 25 years, I have dedicated my life to you. And the next 25 years, if at all I have, I will dedicate to you. And then in the next life, when I'm going to become a dog, that time also I'll be worshipping you only. Udar Bharan. Please do this. Then everybody will feel disgusted. Oh, what have I done all my life? Human life is not meant for simply filling the belly. Let me tell you, it's a fact. I'll bust a great myth today. India is often projected as a poor country where people are dying because of malnourishment and undereating. The truth, my dear friends, devotees, is that nobody dies out of undereating. People die only because of overeating. At least I have never seen anybody dying because of undereating. Given an option to eat, overeat, or undereat, it is better you undereat. You will remain healthy. Diabetes comes because of overeating and not because of sugar. Now you go and find out how many people are in India right now are having diabetes. More than 70%. That means 70% of the population is busy filling their belly, overeating. And then they say that India is a poor country. If at all there is some problem of eating, it is because of the bad administration which is there. But Krishna is ready to provide everything to everybody. There is no scarcity of another statement for your notebook. There is no scarcity of anything. The only scarcity is the scarcity of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Proof of this statement which I'm making, see, I'm not like some sentimental motivational speaker here who will just speak something. Whatever I say, there is a basis. I back it up with the Shastra. In my sessions, I often say, I don't care for your opinion and I don't care for my opinion. We only care for the opinion of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, and the Acharyas who are in line with the teachings of Krishna. We only care for their opinion. Just like in the High Court or in the Supreme Court, nobody cares for the opinion of the lawyer. The only thing which matters is that the lawyer, when he presents his opinion in reference to some judgment which was passed earlier, then his statements are considered valid. Otherwise, who cares for your opinion? So similarly, I don't care for your opinion. You should not care for my opinion. The only thing which we should care for is what the Shastra has to say, what the Acharyas have to say, and what the other people who are following the Acharyas, they have to say. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. This is the triangle in which we should verify everything. So why am I saying that there is no scarcity of anything? It is said in Ishopanishad, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridha kasya svedhanam. Before that it is said, Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So I just recited the invocation mantra and the first verse of Ishopanishad. So in the invocation mantra it is said, Om Purnamadam. That means the Supreme Lord is Purna, complete. Purnamidam. This manifestation where we are is also complete. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. All the manifestations and all the creations which are coming out of Krishna, they are also complete. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. From the existence of Krishna, from the personality of Godhead Krishna, even if you take out unlimited units of complete wholes, please listen carefully. Krishna is there. Suppose there is one banana here. You take out 5 pieces of that banana, what remains? Nothing. But Krishna is not like this. Krishna has created many, many universes and planets and demigods and living entities, and everything is a creation of Krishna. And everything is complete because Krishna is complete. And even if we take out 50 crore, billion, trillion, quadrillion, whatever, those many units, complete wholes from Krishna out, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Still what will remain is the complete whole Krishna. So in spiritual mathematics, 1 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 1000 is also 1. And 1 minus infinity is also 1. That is Krishna consciousness. Please understand this. If you can understand this simple verse of the invocation of Ishopanishad, you have understood spiritual life. So coming back to mind control, I was speaking on the point that we need to regulate our senses. But the educational universities, colleges, schools, they are just hell-bent on Udar Bharan Vidya. There is no emphasis on character and sense control. So therefore, the mind is not controlled these days. The word regulation means do those things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness and avoid those things which are not favorable for Krishna consciousness. Even if someone doesn't want to speak in the perspective of Krishna consciousness, simply if you talk about any kind of regulatory disciplinary activity, you have to do 2 things. You have to stress upon doing the positives and avoid the negatives. You have to do that which is favorable and avoid that which is unfavorable. So on this note, I will continue how to regulate the mind. Please see how wonderfully Krishna is giving a solution. Natya ashnatastu yogosti na chaikantam anashnatah nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. There is no possibility of once becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Again, I will take a break and I will try to explain this verse here. We are talking about spirit, soul. We are talking about transcendental subject matter. We are talking about the spiritual world. How all of a sudden in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about eating more or eating less, sleeping more or sleeping. How come this bodily platform came into a spiritual subject matter? The answer is eating more or eating less, sleeping more or sleeping less. All these things, they affect the mind. Now, because they affect the mind and because mind control is necessary for spiritual life to begin or spiritual life to flourish, therefore Krishna is talking about it. So don't look at it as a mundane thing. It's absolutely spiritual and everything is in line with it, provided you understand in the right perspective. And in order to understand it in the right perspective, you need to take shelter of a devotee of Krishna. Otherwise, you'll never understand the Bhagavad Gita. What happens if you eat too much? I don't think I need to give a class on that. Everybody knows. Our stomach is like a mixer grinder. How do you put something in a mixer grinder? You put around half of the mixer grinder, you fill it with the thing which you need to mix or grind. And then 1/4 you add little water. And then you let the 1/4 of the jar of the mixer grinder remain empty, and then you start the grinder. Imagine if you have filled it up to the brim, and then if you have started, first of all, it will just overflow. And secondly, the grinding will not happen properly. So same is with our stomach. When I was a very, very small child, my grandfather told me that eat only half of your stomach. Remaining 1/4, you fill it with water. And remaining 1/4, leave it empty. At that time, I didn't pay attention to these kind of things. I was like, what? My grandfather simply whole day is instructing him, I used to think. But now when I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita and I'm seeing how Krishna is also stressing on it, that one who eats too much and eats too little, or sleeps too much or sleeps too little, cannot be a yogi. Now I realize the importance of how these activities of regulation are so important in spiritual life. And I appreciate my grandfather for sharing that wisdom with me. The more I read Bhagavad Gita, the more deeper I go in my relationship with my grandfather, or with my friends, or with my relatives, or with my duties. So Bhagavad Gita, some people have a misconception. The other day, 2 people came to the temple. They were like 21, 22 years old. And they were telling, why should we read Bhagavad Gita? This, that, blah, blah. If we read Bhagavad Gita, we'll become like you. So I said, no, that is not the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to become a better human being, a better Hindu, a better Christian, a better Muslim, a better husband, a better father, a better son, a better grandson, a better employee, a better warrior, and a winner. Bhagavad Gita is not a dharmic book, or Bhagavad Gita is not a book which creates monks. By the way, being monk is not an easy job. Some people think being a monk means just shave your head and do nothing. For that, we have launched the 3-day monk challenge. We invite anybody and everybody to come and stay in the temple for 3 days. We see that people cannot survive for 1 day also. And they say that being monk is an easy task. First thing which we do is that we take away their phone. And they are like, no, 5 minutes also I cannot be a monk. And the next thing we say that there's no bed here. And they're like, oh God, the best place in the whole world is not there in this temple. What to do? And then I don't want to disclose more details because otherwise nobody takes that challenge. But hardly I have seen ever anybody surviving that. So Bhagavad Gita was told to a grihastha, Arjuna, who was a military man, a society man, a politician in various ways. He wanted to run away and become a sannyasi in the forest. And he was not qualified to do that, by the way. So Krishna told him the Bhagavad Gita, which made him realize his potential, which made him realize what he should do in life, and not artificially renounce. Premature renunciation is just a disturbance to the society. Those people, those so-called saints who are actually swindlers, who have prematurely renounced without having a proper knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, without having a proper sense control, without having a proper training, they have become a disgrace on the renounced order of life. And because of that, nobody listens to the saints these days, because of such stupid premature renunciants. So Arjuna was wanting to become a premature renunciant. Krishna stopped him. So that is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita does not encourage everybody. Bhagavad Gita says that you understand what is your nature and proceed accordingly. But in all circumstances, ma manusmara yudhyacha. Just think of me and work. Just think of me and fight, Krishna says. So these are some points which I wanted to share. So these are some regulatory activities which are very important. I'll again share my screen and we'll continue the discussion. I have just 10 or 15 minutes more to go. And then Krishna says, Yukta hara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material planes by practicing the yoga system. So we need to have a regulated lifestyle. A pendulum lifestyle will not work. Sometimes sankalpa, sometimes vikalpa, sometimes this way, sometimes that way. No, we need to be regulated. Our eating has to be regulated. Our sleeping has to be regulated. These are all, why am I discussing these? These are important stepping stones to mind control, by the way. Regulated eating, regulated sleeping, regulated recreation, and regulated work. Not like working 18 hours a day, every day, also on Saturdays and Sundays, and sold the body, mind, and soul to the employer. No, you're being paid for 8 hours. Kindly work for 8 hours. After that, shut down your laptop and go and have an actual life. Do something which will help you. The purpose of life, I'm telling you, is to chant Hare Krishna, read the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and go back to Godhead. That is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is not to pay bills and have a 100-hour week and then die like a dog. That is not the purpose of life. At least Krishna says this. Regulated in the habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all pains by practicing the yoga system. This is not very difficult. It is a matter of practice. So, how many of you are happy to realize that Bhagavad Gita is full of practical tips for a divine life? If you feel that, yes, you are really happy and you are discovering something new in Bhagavad Gita, it's not like something 5,000 years old, hackneyed, and no longer useful. It's very practical, ever fresh, timeless, and it's full of practical tips which can help me on a daily basis to experience or to end my search for happiness. How many of you feel like this? Those who feel like this, can you please raise your hands to confirm? Yes, some people are actually raising their hands. Some people are technically raising their hands. Thank you so much. These hand raises are confirming that whatever I'm trying to explain, the devotees are understanding that. Okay, thank you. Please lower your hands. We'll go further. Now, the key is here. Till now, we were seeing the stepping stones to mind control. But now the final mantra or the Ramban or the actual key to control the mind is here. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. Bhagavad Gita 6.35. Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. So, such nice stuff is being told here. I feel Krishna is the best counselor. He does not underestimate a person whose mind is not controlled and who's really agitated because of his mind. He's overwhelmed by his mind. So Krishna is first pacifying that person. The almighty armed son of Kunti. It is undoubtedly difficult, yes, to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. I'm feeling inspired at this point of time to come out of this presentation and actually take you to this verse and read the purport of it also. And then we will really feel very enriched. I'll just share my screen so that all of you know how I am reading the Bhagavad Gita online. Okay, so I will share my screen so that all of you can also refer it later. Come on, show all windows. Yeah, that's my screen. That's a browser. So I will just search. I will go to a website called vedabase.io. Okay, it just took me to one of the verses. I want to go to vedabase.io. So here, if you see, all the books written by the founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada is there. So you can refer it online. However, I will go to Bhagavad Gita. I will go to chapter 6 and I will open the verse number 35, which talks about this Abhyasena tu Kaunteya. Vairagyena Chigrihyate. See the purport. Srila Prabhupada is saying the difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of God. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and the mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. Actually, all these things Krishna has prescribed before. Now we are in the 35th verse of 6th chapter Dhyan Yoga. Before this, Krishna has told that do all this. But the Acharya is telling that practically in Kali Yuga, it is not possible for anyone. So what is possible? What is that practice? Abhyasena tu Kaunteya. What is that abhyasa? The answer is by the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service of the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna, Shravanam. Just remain wherever you are and just hear Krishna Katha and Krishna Kirtan. This is the practice. This is a very powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. Now, this was the practice. Now, what is that detachment? Because Krishna says 2 things. Abhyasena tu Kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. What is that vairagya? Vairagya means detachment. So what is that vairagya? By detaching the mind from the activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Paresh Anubhava. It can be broken in various words. Para, Isha, Anubhava. Para means something which is beyond this world. Isha means the Supreme Lord, and Anubhava. So I'm getting an experience of that Supreme Lord who is beyond the purview of material senses. That is Paresh Anubhava, which has been easily translated as spiritual satisfaction. Now listen, what a nice analogy will come now. Just see. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. What happens when this man eats? The answer is here. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. So satisfaction comes, strength also comes, and the hunger also goes away. So when somebody is eating, 3 things are happening simultaneously. Number 1, the hunger goes away. Number 2, simultaneously they will feel satisfaction. Number 3, simultaneously they will get the strength. So the hunger, the removal of hunger, the feeling of satisfaction, and the nourishment of the body and the mind, and if it is prasad, then also of the soul or the strength, all of these 3 things, they will happen simultaneously. So now Prabhupada is comparing this to spiritual life. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing the disease by expert treatment and an appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore the expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Imagine if you have this copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is with you, and daily you are reading these verses. I will not make an offense when this is not an offense if I speak like this. You don't even need to go and have bath in Ganges if you are daily having bath in in Bhagavad Gita. So please, please, please have a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is with you and read it on a daily basis and make your life so successful. So we learned Vairagyena tu Kaunteya, Abhyasena tu Kaunteya, Vairagyena tu Grihate. So one needs to practice things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness and be detached from those things which are not favorable to Krishna consciousness. I was explaining in one of the previous sessions, one cannot be sinful as well as Krishna conscious at the same time. What are the 4 pillars of sin? Meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. Follow these regulative principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. These are the detachment. Abhyas and Vairagya. So I want to do Vairagya from these things. Abhyas is chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have started organizing mantra meditation circle, 6 a.m. People can join. Link will be shared. And people can chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read 1 verse of Bhagavad Gita. This is the Abhyas. Slowly you chant 1 round, then you go to 2 rounds, then you go to 4 rounds, then you go to 8 rounds. The more you want to experience Krishna, the lesser it will be, because Krishna is unlimited. So Abhyas is chant Hare Krishna, read the Bhagavad Gita, be regular to these sessions where you get a chance for Shravanam, hearing, and have a Krishna conscious diet. Offer things which are in the mode of goodness to Krishna. Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, shloka number 8, 9, and 10, if you refer, you'll get an idea what to offer, what not to offer. And offer to Krishna. Place a tulsi leaf in it. Say the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times to begin with. Although there is a standard procedure to offer, but to begin with, do this much. And then accept that prasad. This is called Abhyas, association of devotees, Bhagavad Gita, reading, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Diet, A, B, C, D. A for association, B for Bhagavad Gita, C for chanting, D for diet. This is the Abhyas. And what is the Vairagya? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. If you follow this Abhyas and Vairagya, enough, you will control your mind. And when your mind is controlled, you are liberated. Even while staying in this body, Jivan Mukta Sa Uchyate, you will be a liberated soul. And then you can very nicely serve Krishna and the devotees of Krishna. That's in nutshell about mind control. Moving further, another 3-4 minutes I need. Please hang on. Regarding Shravanam, we have begun to, if you have noticed, we are posting short clips of Srila Prabhupada in the WhatsApp groups, which is hardly 6 minutes or 7 minutes. Why we have started that? Because we want all of you to have an opportunity to hear the transcendental sound vibration of the Acharya every day, at least for 7 minutes. So please take good advantage of that Shravanam. Don't just come in here once in a weekend or once in a week. Try to hear every day. The more you hear, the more you'll advance. Because the beginning of bhakti is Shravanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Arachanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 limbs of bhakti. And everything begins with Shravanam. So please do Shravanam every day. Now that we have learned how to control our mind, Abhyas and Vairagya, and through some regulations, not overeating, not undereating, not oversleeping, not undersleeping, and all those things, and Abhyas and Vairagya, let's see what is the effect of mind and sense control. We are targeting, this is our goal, but what will be our situation? It's very important for us to be inspired and know what is going to happen to us so that we remain fixed up, determined, perseverant on our path to attain the goal. What is the outcome? What is the effect of sense control? Yoga yukta vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvan api na lipyate. Bhagavad Gita 5.7. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So, please raise your hands. How many of you want to be dear to everyone? And how many of you want that everyone should be dear to you? Please raise your hands. Electronically or in the video, in whichever way. Yes. Those who have not raising their hands, I'm not sure whether you've heard the question. You know, the deep desires are being revealed now. How many of you want that everybody should like you? Love you rather, not just like you. And how many of you want that you should also love everybody? Please raise your hands. Not everybody is raising their hands. It means they're not understanding the question, or they have just connected to this session and they are not listening properly. Anyways, whatever the case may be, I'll proceed. That is the result of mind control and sense control. When your mind and senses are controlled, you start working in devotion as a pure soul. And then you become dear to everybody. Everybody will like you. You know what? Purity attracts. When the pure devotees of Krishna, when they go out on the street with the Bhagavad Gita in their hand, you know, people want to listen to them. Automatically, people get attracted to them. They just want to come and listen. They just want to touch the Bhagavad Gita. They want to read from it. One single pure devotee, one single pure man can change the whole world. That is what Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, did. At the age of 70, he went out. All he did was he carried Krishna in his heart and he was pure in his conduct as a pure devotee. And see the difference which he made. People got attracted. And there are so many stupid, lusty principles of attractions which are being discussed. I would like to reject everything and say that the purity is the force. I have some principles with which we work here. The principles are: preaching is the essence, books are the basis, purity is the force, utility is the principle. These four fundamental principles were given to us by Srila Prabhupada. He said, purity is the force. ISKCON as an organization, it was predicted by Srila Prabhupada, is going to last for 10,000 years. No other such kind of spiritual entity will last. Why? Because ISKCON is backed by purity. Purity is the force. Books are the basis. I don't care for your opinion. I don't care for my opinion. Only what Bhagavad Gita says we care. We are Shastrik people. We are Bhakti Shastris. We are Bhakti Vedanta. We are Bhakti. We want to base the whole movement on Shastra. So books are the basis. Purity is the force. Preaching is the essence. We just don't want to lock ourselves in a temple and keep worshipping the deities all day. In that way only I will get the benefit. But what about the crazy, idiots, unfortunate, less intelligent, dull people who are rotting in this material world outside? Who is going to help them? We are Vaishnava. We can't tolerate this. So preaching is the essence. We will go out and preach. Even if somebody slaps us or takes a stone and hits us, that is their ignorance. But a Vaishnava is paradukha dukhi. A Vaishnava is very merciful. So devotees of Bhagavad Gita, devotees of Krishna should go out and preach. Doesn't matter if you've read only 2 pages, go out and talk about those 2 pages only. But you preach. Bring as many people as possible to these sessions. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna nivesha. Somehow or the other, fix your mind upon Krishna and then help others. So preaching is the essence and utility is the principle. Srila Prabhupada told that devotees of Krishna should not be artificially renounced. Oh, I will not touch money. Oh, I will not touch this laptop. Oh, I will not touch that gadget. Oh, I cannot live in a room which has a light and a sofa. No. One who accepts everything and uses it in the service of Krishna and not for their own sense gratification is much higher in renunciation compared to a person who is just artificially renounced in the name of renunciation. There's a very nice principle of Yukta Vairagya. I will just try to show it to you. These are not a syllabus of Gita course, but I'm just exposing to you. I'm just pulling it out. Yeah. I found that verse. It is from a book called as Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Yes. I'll again share my screen. You'll be surprised when you know such things. And you'll be saved from so many miseries. It says, this is there in the 6th Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, shloka number 10 in the purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjitah nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of his relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. So, on this basis, Srila Prabhupada has told that utility is the principle. So, we in ISKCON, we want to use everything in Krishna's service. If we see a nice car on the road, it should be used in Krishna's service. If we see an intelligent man, he should be used in Krishna's service. If we see a nice artist, he should be used in Krishna's service. If we see some nice skill somewhere, it should be used in Krishna's service. If we see some nice rose flower, it should be used in Krishna's service. That is the principle. Utility is the principle. If someone has a lot of money, we request them, please donate it to us. We'll use it in Krishna's service. So utility is the principle. So coming back to our discussion, so one who controls the mind becomes very dear, very, very dear to everybody, and everybody is very dear to him. Now, we have ended today's session. The practical tip of the day, which will help you to become very, very advanced right from day one, if you follow it. We call it as heating the frog. Nobody should say that we have been asked to heat the frog in Gita course or in the Gita classes. I'm just giving it as an example that when you take a frog in a pan and when you try to heat it, if you immediately increase the flame, the frog will jump out. But slowly, if you increase the flame, the frog will adjust to the raising temperature and will remain in the pan. So mind control is something like that. It's like heating the frog. Some important points in mind control, regulated lifestyle is, number one, do not do drastic changes. If you have a desire to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and presently if you are waking up at 8 a.m., then don't just change the alarm to 4 a.m. First make it 7:45, then make it 7:30, then go to 7, then go to 6:30, then go to 6, then go to 5, and then slowly come to 4:30 like that. Slowly, over a period of 3-4 months, do not do drastic changes. That is our proposal. Proposal number 1, don't do drastic changes. Proposal number 2, constant practice of chanting Hare Krishna. We are talking about abhyas and vairagya, practice and detachment. In order to practice and be detached, you require spiritual energy, which will give you energy to move on with perseverance on this path. And that energy, that mercy, more importantly, I want to call the spiritual energy as mercy. Mercy means to get something which you don't deserve. Please write it down in your notebook. Mercy means to get something which you don't deserve. So we need mercy of Krishna. By his mercy, by his blessings, we will be able to be perseverant on this path. And that is only possible by constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. At least 2 rounds every day, 1 or 2 rounds, at least 2 rounds. Those who are serious about progressing on this path of mind control and regulated lifestyle, at least give 2 rounds to yourself. Next point, have a schedule. Don't be on a spontaneous platform. Have a schedule. Throughout the day, please keep checking. What am I supposed to do according to the schedule? And what am I actually doing? Manah Shiksha. Train your mind. Have a schedule. Next, keep assessing your progress. You have a goal, and then there should be the goal is to control your mind and regulate your lifestyle, become a devotee of Krishna. That's the goal. So how will I measure my progress? How will I track my progress? That those parameters, those milestones should be set. Most importantly, have a guide. You can't make progress without a guide. You'll be lost. We all have been lost in this material world from millions and billions of lifetimes doing sense gratification. I call it chewing the chewed. You take the sugar cane, break a piece of it, chew it, throw it out. But then again, you pick it up and chew it, and again you throw it out. Again, you pick it up and chew it, and again you throw it out. Again, you pick it up and chew it, again you throw it out. Sounds disgusting, right? This is what we have been doing from millions of lifetimes. All of you, all of us, me, you, everybody sitting here, we have all had millions and billions of lifetimes, and there is nothing which we are experiencing in this lifetime which we have not experienced in previous lifetimes. So, have a guide. Only a guide can help us to understand where we are going wrong. On our own strength, we cannot, our mind will cheat us. And most importantly, read the Bhagavad Gita, read the scriptures. Okay, with that, we end today's session. And this is something which I will remind you every session. Kritayadhyayato Vishnum Tretayam Yajato Makhaihi Dvapare Paricharyayam Kalau Tadhari Kirtanat. Whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditation on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapar Yuga by seeing the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Puran Amalam, 12th canto, chapter 3, shloka 52. So the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga is to chant Hare Krishna. Kalau Tad Hari Kirtanat. In Kali Yuga, meditation will not work. Sacrifices and yagyas will not work. Temple construction and deity worship will not work, because we are not qualified to do these 3 items. The only thing which Kali Yuga living entities like you and me can do nicely and please the Lord. And whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by 60,000 years of meditation, the same result can be obtained in Kali Yuga in a very short span of time by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Someone may ask, why such a big concession? The answer is, when the disease is horrible, the medicine has to be stronger. So the disease of sense enjoyment, sense gratification, becoming the Lord of everything that I survey, the disease of enjoying separately from Krishna is very strong in Kali Yuga. So therefore the medicine given is also very strong. Kalau Tad Hari Kirtanat. And we are talking about regulation, which means Vairagya, avoiding things which are not favorable to Krishna consciousness. It is said how to do that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti shodashakam nama nama kalikalmashanashanam nata parataropaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. So what are the bad effects of Kali Yuga? Evil effects of Kali Yuga. That is meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. These are the illicit evil effects of Kali Yuga. Wherever you see these four things happening, you should immediately understand Kali Yuga is prevailing there. And in the Kali Santaran Upanishad, which is an Upanishad specially for Kali Yuga people, it is mentioned that Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. These 16 names composed of 32 syllables are the only means, please see the word only, are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross this ocean of nescience, there is no alternative to chanting the holy name of the Lord. Before we end, I would like to give you a homework. Please learn the Bhagavad Gita shloka number 6.35. We will soon start posting the quiz. Try to answer it. Mantra meditation session is going on every day in the morning, where devotees come together, take association of each other, and they chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, hear something from the Bhagavad Gita. So it is going to continue. Those who are really intelligent and those who are really fortunate, they will join it. Those who are okay, like another 100, 200 lifetimes, I want to stay in this material world, I don't mind, don't join. But those who are eager to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime, please join. Please ensure that you have a Japmala and a Bhagavad Gita as it is with you. If you don't, please contact us. We will send it to you. Please chant fixed number of rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day. You fix a number and just stick to it. We will recommend 2 rounds. Every day, those who are already chanting 10 rounds or 16 rounds, please don't come down to 2 rounds. 2 rounds is for the people who are new. Here, the Srila Prabhupada's lectures, which are being shared in the group every day. If you're not a part of these groups, please contact us. We'll add you to the group. So chanting and hearing, these are the 2 best medicines for the mad mind. So please do these homework. Next session, I'm going to ask you who all have memorized the verse and how many of you have been chanting regularly and hearing the lectures of Srila Prabhupada regularly throughout the week. And those who will be able to do so, just like when you eat, tushti, pushti, shuddhapayo, the abasion of hunger, the nourishment of the body, and the satisfaction of heart comes naturally when you eat something. You don't need a certificate. So similarly, those who are doing this chanting, fixed number of rounds, those who are hearing and those who are reading, they will feel that bliss of Krishna consciousness. You don't need a certificate for that. So today, what we are going to do, the session has ended. We are going to request all of you to stay back. We will do the Yuga Dharma, we will do the Sankirtan Yajna today. We will all turn on our videos for some time and we will chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra together. You have come to this session. It is my duty to give you something. What I want to offer you is Harinam. I want to offer you the benefit of participating in a Sankirtan Yajna. We will chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It takes around 7 to 8 minutes. You can see how it is done. You can please make your own Japmala available. If you do not have today, then you please contact us. We'll send it to you. The Bhagavad Gita will send it to you. Today you can count on your fingers and chant. But today you please observe how do we chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So I'll just get my Japmala. Give me a second. So this is called as the Japmala. It has the Japa beads, which have 108 beads in it. I hold the head bead and I put my index finger out like this. Okay. If I feel that it should be securely tied in my hand, then I tie the Japmala like this on my hand. I don't know if you're able to see, like this. And now it's fixed up. Even if I do my hand like this, it doesn't fall down. Holding the head bead, I will say this mantra, the Panch Tattva mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura. I think you have seen that mantra. I'll show it to you once more. While beginning of the session, I display that mantra. So here is that mantra. Have a look. This is the mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Before every round, we have to chant this mantra. This mantra helps us to get rid of the offenses or the mental distractions, which ideally we should not be distracted. We should not do offenses. But if at all, knowingly, unknowingly, some offenses are happening, some aparadh is happening, then this mantra helps us to get rid of that. However, simply chanting this mantra and continuing to do offenses is an offensive mentality, which is not good for a sadhaka. So it is recommended that one should avoid offenses. That means not be distracted while chanting. Focus on the hearing the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And chant this mantra before every round. So I'm holding the head bead and I'm chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura. And after that, this is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I will go to the first bead and I will chant Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Then I'll go to the second bead and I'll chant Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Like this, I will chant the entire round now. I'll again go back to the head bead and I will chant the Panch Tattva mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. Thank you very much. You people are very, very fortunate that you have participated in the Yuga Dharma and Sankirtan Yajna. Remember the ABCD, associate with devotees, read the books of Srila Prabhupada, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, have a Krishna conscious diet. And the homework was given, verse number 6.35, chant fixed number of rounds, hear the lectures, See you again next week.